Hello, it's Jennifer. Today is April 28th. It's a Sunday, and I'm up early this morning to do this video. Hopefully before the neighborhood wakes up and starts making a bunch of noise. So right now, what you're hearing is the sound of birds, and there's a rooster. So if you hear, the crowing, that's just the rooster. So I'm going to start on the opposite side of the yard today with my greens bed. But it's also becoming my beans bed. I have one last I think that's a cauliflower in this box. The pill bugs and the chewing bugs. I think I saw some like locusty looking creatures, grasshoppers, eating these plants up. So I only have one of these left, and I don't know if it's going to make it to maturity. The other one here is the tatsoi, and it looks pretty good. I think this is a cold weather plant, but so far it seems to be tolerating the heat pretty well. So we've been having some wild weather here in Southern California. Just 2 days ago, it was in the low 90s, upper 80s, and now it's going to be cool in the morning. So it's been in the 60s in the morning, and then all this clouds and gloom go away to the high 70s, low 80s in the afternoon. So kind of big swings for the plants. We'll see how they do. So this one here is Mizuna. I planted it for my mom. She wanted me to plant her some arugula, but I told her that it's too warm here for arugula and I'd try an alternative. So this is Mizuna. It looks like a glorified weed to me. Like if I just saw this in my front yard, I'd pull it. But we'll see how that tastes. Over here, it looks like there's a raspberry growing. I'm going to leave it alone. And over here we have some green beans, and I didn't label what kind of beans these are. But I think they may be the Kentucky pole beans. And sooner or later I'll have to come put some poles out for them to climb. Over here are some herbs. So this is the Golden Jubilee lemon balm. And then this is some sort of, doesn't smell like anything. I don't know what that is, but I want to say it's some sort of lemon balm or something like that, but yeah, this actually smells minty. It smells really nice. And then the parsley that's ever growing. That's some dill. It looks like it has fall colors. I'm not sure what's going on there. And down there some chamomile. Another chamomile. And then over here is some sweet marjoram. So it came back. We'll see if it gets any bigger than that. Over here is kind of the wild side of the yard. So I've been gradually cleaning up the weeds. I still have some more weeding to do. But also planting herbs over here. So I've been planting this sage here. Hello, birds. And that's lavender there in the middle. And then the pineapple sage here, which I hope to grow into a nice big hedge. And then the hyssop here. And I forgot what this is. I didn't label it either. There's a couple of artichokes here. I've got some basils here. So I think this is the cinnamon basil. I had an incident where I threw some pumpkin and a spaghetti squash out here that were rotting, and now the seeds are coming up. So I've been gradually pulling those out. I'll allow a few of them to stay to populate the garden because I like the vegetables. But for the most part, I've been coming out here and pulling out the seedlings. And these three here are the ones that I'm going to allow to grow, and at some point I will pull one of them, so I only have 2 plants. Down here I've been preparing these wine barrel planters and this one plastic planter for new stuff for summer. I've already got some giant Midori soybeans in here, so hopefully those will come up safely and there won't be pill bugs eating the heads off the seedlings. We'll see. If that happens, then I will just go ahead and try again, but this time I will sprout the seeds indoors and then put them out once they have a few true leaves. Down here are some more spices, so some sweet marjoram, some dragon head, and more bee balms. So this is empty. This just is pretty much empty. It still has a few onions in it. This is my dragon cayenne pepper, and it's doing all right. I'm kind of worried about it being over here because it gets shaded around 2 o'clock, so it basically gets sun from about 7:30 to 2 o'clock, so hopefully that's enough sun for it. And then over here are two, I believe these are melon plants. So I've planted melon on this side of the yard before, and they've done just fine. So we'll see how it goes. They should do just fine. There was an eggplant in here and some onions with these two plants, but I pulled the eggplant out and put it in another part of the yard. And then the onions had scapes coming out of them, so they're probably hollow on the inside, so I went ahead and pulled those. Hopefully now this is enough room for these two melons to grow. I'll go ahead and put up some support for them once they get bigger. So over here, some more sage, and then some onions that were salvaged from the wine barrels behind me that I just went over. One last carrot. This is cilantro. So since it gets too warm here to grow cilantro outside of early spring and winter, I went ahead and planted what's supposed to taste like cilantro called culantro, and it should do much better in the hot weather. And then over here some catnip, and then these little guys here are oyster leaf. First time growing those, so we'll see how that goes. My peas are dying in the heat, so I expect maybe to get one last small harvest from these peas before I go ahead and pull them out and then replace them with tomatoes. So this is originally a tomato growing box anyway. And there are tomatoes that are being grown right now from seed that are waiting to go into this box. So this is a mix of shelling peas, snow peas, and snap peas. I've gotten so many off these plants. Half of them have already been pulled out, but I've gotten so many out of these plants that I just started putting them in bags and freezing them. So I should have a good amount of peas for the rest of the year. And I will go ahead and replant these peas again probably in October. And then over here is a tomato. And did I happen to label what it is? I think it's a pineapple tomato. Anyhow, it's growing kind of ferally. But I've been trying my best to wrangle it. So we'll see if my wrangling works as it gets bigger. It looks like... No, these are just flowers. No fruit yet. Down here is a mass of carrots. So far I haven't gotten anything out of this grower yet, this planter. But I'm being patient because sometimes it just takes carrots a long time. So, yeah, I've been pulling some of these up, and they're like the dark carrots. But the dark carrots just come up about as thick as the stems here, and that's not good for eating. And here are my onions. They're coming along. They're starting to bulb very slowly. Hopefully in a month they'll be ready. So far, only one of them has had a scape in it, but it's very small, so it should be okay. It shouldn't be a hollow onion. Okay, so now to start going over some of the tomatoes in my yard. This one here is Reka. So all of my tomatoes have grown huge in the last month. So if you remember from the March video, they were all maybe about a foot and a half tall. Now they're reaching for the sky here, almost to the top of the tomato box, and poke through the trellis probably by the time I do the May video. So this is Reka, and Reka already has fruits on it. And in between here, I planted some more basil. And this one here is Anna's Russian. So last time it was looking really skinny and scrawny. But as you can see, it's thickened up quite a bit. It's got lots of flowers on it. I don't think there's any fruit yet. So far my plants have had lots of flowers, but not much of the fruit is actually sticking. The flowers are dropping, and it may be because the soil is still too cool, because we do have cold nights still. This one is, let me see, who are you? The Chadwick cherry. So this is the first time I've grown Chadwick cherry. It looks like there are some fruits back here already, so that's good. It's got lots of flowers, lots of branches. I have no idea what this cherry tomato tastes like, so I'm eager to have my first try of Chadwick cherry. This tomato here is the vintage wine, so it's doing a lot better than the one I tried to grow last year. So it's very strong, healthy plant, lots of flowers. I don't think there's any fruit yet, but there are lots of flowers. So if there are going to be any fruit, they'd be right here. But I see flowers and flowers that are going to drop. And then over here is the Cordebouet. And this plant looks a lot different than the one from last year. The one from last year was stringy, and I basically only got like one stem out of it, but this one is multi-stemmed and very leafy. The other one was not leafy at all. So far I don't see any fruit, but the flowers are really big. So if this one's healthy, I might get some monster tomatoes this year, and that'll be great because these are great in salads and for sandwiches. So I'm pretty excited about this plant. And then over here is the Mandarin Cross, and it's doing pretty well. It doesn't have a lot of flowers. It's mostly greenery. It's got some flowers up here. I don't know what to expect of it. So this is orange tomato. So maybe it'll get some more flowers on the suckers. But so far this seems to be one of these tomatoes that's not too many fruit and a whole lot of foliage. Which, you know, isn't bad. I have a whole lot of fruit from other tomatoes. But we'll see. Yeah, there's some more flowers here. Where's my finger? There's my finger. All right. And then over here, I think these are garlic. And then over in this bed, this is Momotaro. And it has a few flowers up here. It looks like there's one little fruit down there underneath the flower here. And another Reka. And Reka has tomatoes on it. And some more flowers. And then again, I planted some more interstitial basil. Also in this bed are the royal purple green beans. I think these are a pole variety, so I will have to put some poles out for it to climb. And then some broccoli and cauliflower. And these are actually doing pretty well. So the trellis up here is providing adequate shading, and then half the box in the morning is shaded by the wall. So they don't really start getting sun until about 10 in the morning, and then from 10 to 2 they get bright sun, and then the trellis pretty much does all the shading. And I've been doing some extra hand watering to make sure they're hydrated, and that seems to keep the plants going. And again, some more garlic. I think these garlic were just like mixed in the compost that I put in here, so that's why they're coming out. Over here I have two melons, so the Gallia melon and the jelly melon, and I've had to move these away from the wall so they can get some sun. So hopefully now they'll get sun early in the morning, like from maybe 8:30 until about 4. Over here are some more green beans, and these are the French gold. So again, this is a pole bean, And so they have their poles there. I don't know if they're going to climb them. Sometimes the beans don't do as I say. Alright, this is my grape and tomato area. So here are my grape plants. Looks like we're going to get some grapes this year. There's lots of them all around. So this is a Concord grape here, this small skinny one. If you look over here, this one has some flowers on it. And I think this is a Thompson grape. And over there is the flame grape. So they're looking pretty nice. They've grown tremendously over the last month. So basically at the beginning of April is when they started, the buds swole and they started putting out branches. So in the past 4 weeks, all of this growth has happened. So it's pretty amazing actually watching this thing grow so big and watching it grow inches day by day. Okay, so now let's look at the tomatoes. So over here is an Italian ice, and this looks like the Italian ices I've been growing for years. They're thin and skinny and kind of sickly looking. I don't know if that's the model plant, but this is how they turn out in my yard. So compared to other years, it looks just as scrawny and sickly as usual. This is another one of them. It's got some flowers up here, same one with some flowers on top, but oh, looks like there's some tiny little fruits in there. Let's see if I can focus on them. There's some tiny little fruits in there. This one is the black cherry, and got some fruits on top. This one looks typical as well. So it's not as scrawny as, hello, Mr. Crow, good morning. Yeah. Okay, so anyhow, it's got some flowers on it. It doesn't have any fruit yet. These cherries have been struggling with powdery mildew. So they look kind of dead at the bottom. I don't know if they're going to recover. I don't know. But anyhow, this one here has some fruits on it, if you can see right there. And some flowers. But in the past, I've seen these fill out later. They look kind of pathetic at first, and then they get really big. Okay, over here is black creme. So if you recall, these are grown from seed I harvested last year from my black creme plants. And they've got lots of flowers. I think there's like a small fruit over here. And they're both looking pretty good. And this is a pineapple tomato, and it's getting huge. And no fruit yet, but lots of flowers. And then this one is a Costoludo Genovese, and it's getting huge as well. So this is the second time I've tried growing it. The first time I grew too late in the season, and it died before it could produce anything. But this one is quite a bit bigger than that first plant, and I hope it does well. It looks like got a fruit. Oh, no fruit in there. So it looks like no fruit yet, but hopefully there'll be some soon. Over here are some shelling peas, and it looks like they're getting ready to do another round here. So oh, this is snow pea too, and since they're in a totally different environment than just like 10 feet away, these may actually grow throughout the summer. So it's like 10 degrees cooler under all these grapes, which the tomatoes seem to love, and the peas love it too from last year. So this is another Cordyboy, and it doesn't look anywhere near as strong as the other one, but it's got flowers on it. I've been doing what I can to support it. This one is very stringy and has a whole lot of stems on it. This one is a mystery plant, but I suspect that it is San Marzano. We'll see. This I thought was San Marzano, but looking at the number of flowers on this cluster, I suspect that this is actually some type of cherry tomato. So we'll see. It's been having troubles too with the powdery mildew, so it's just bald on the bottom. This one in here is Chica, and I got hello, honking bird. It's Chica. I got Chica 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Chica was like that, so Chica's growing. Chica is a Japanese variety of cherry tomato, so it's supposed to be super sweet. We'll see about that. So it's my first time growing this type of tomato. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but you know, it looks kind of thin. And some more basil in the last video. So that is the Inca Jewels. That is the bush steak, another bush steak, and bush steak over there. And that's it for this side of the yard. And see the grapes? We're hoping to lead them over onto the other tomato box here. We'll see if that happens. And this is my pink lemonade tree, and we're in the process of trying to straighten it back up. So I've been slowly inching this back every week. Hopefully I don't snap the plant. But it's got lots of lemons on it, and supposedly these are ripe when the yellow part starts turning orangish. We've eaten a few of these already in lemonade, even though they're not ripe. It tastes great, so I'm not sure whether we're going to be patient enough to wait for these to fully ripen. And then over here is my Mexican lime tree, and it's put out a whole bunch of new branches this month. And looks like we've also got some limes. And just my lemon zinger plants. They're doing well. You'll notice in the middle that there's a little sprout there. That is a new avocado tree that I discovered. So we put it in a pot. So the zinger plants pretty much die out in the fall. So once the zinger plants are dead, this will become the avocados pot. And then of course the container garden here with the herbs, and Atlas doing well. And then this is our mandarin orange tree, and it put out a bunch of whole new leaves. This is the best this plant has ever looked. I don't know when it fruits or if we'll get fruits, but I'm so proud of this little guy. It usually has like 5 leaves on it, so this is amazing. And then our little avocado plant here, and some more of the bee balms, and lavender, and Mexican tarragon, and the shizos looking beautiful, as well as this, I think this is lemon balm, and we got a little pepper plant over there. And then turning over here, so I've removed the Kylon. It just got too big, and then we tried to eat it, and it was so fibrous. It was very hard to chew, couldn't swallow it, so we said, okay, well, this is now just, if we had chickens, it would be chicken fodder, but we didn't have chickens. And they have been replaced by some peppers back here, and these peppers have been doing quite well. They love it back there. That's a pepper from last year. This is the spinach. So 2 types. They're doing quite well. And then the Swiss chard. And then over here are a couple melon plants. I believe that this one, the first one up here is a Gallia. Oh no, that's the papaya dew. And the one back there is the Gallia melon. Moving over here, I have my valerian. Never grown this before. I understand that it does not smell very nice. And then this is the stevia plant. And then in here we have 2 new of the Lebanese white squash. So I'm trying to grow these again. It looks like so far the pill bugs or whatever it was has left them alone. The middle is crookneck squash. And then over here is an Armenian cucumber, and that's just a normal cucumber. And then these are butternut squash. and I believe that this is another crookneck over here. And then this is thyme, and it's been growing here for quite a while, so I just leave it alone. It seems to only get about this big and then kind of tumbles over the side here, but I'm going to leave it alone. And here's one of my dwarf banana plants. It looks like it's recovering from a tough winter. I'll probably put this in the ground soon. I just have to figure out where. And I've put the tent over this bed that's mostly peppers. So I pulled out the broccoli that was there because we ate the top and it didn't look like the side shoots were coming. And then I pulled out the cauliflower that was in that back corner because it had started getting Jurassic and without producing any cauliflower. So at that point, once it starts getting Jurassic, it's not going to produce any cauliflower, or if you see a Jurassic looking broccoli, you're not going to get anything. It's just going to be this big green huge plant with leaves that are too tough to eat. So I went ahead and pulled it. Like I said, a couple days ago it was getting into the 90s, so I put the shade tent over. The plants responded right away, so they were looking kind of pointy. And then after I put the shade on, the leaves flattened out some. And everything's looking pretty good in there. And then back there is that stuff that tastes like celery, but it's not celery. The name escapes me right now. I'll think of it later, but it's really good. Tastes like celery. And then this is where I move the eggplant to. So this one was moved, that one's moved. And then the peppers are in here. Looks like there's a volunteer potato plant in here. So there's 2 potato plants. And then I also put up some shade cloth here to protect these from the harsh afternoon sun. And then back there is our 2, I think those are cauliflowers. And I'm experimenting with this back corner of the yard because it stays much cooler here year round, to see if I can, at least grow a few cauliflower or broccoli plants year round there, as well as some peas. So I put some peas on this side. So we'll see if those come up and if that one little corner works. It's like its own little cool microclimate. And then over here are some more artichoke plants and the rosemary. And then the small tomato garden over here, which I went over in the last video. You can really see how many tomatoes this patio princess has. It's doing really well. And it looks like these onions here, most of them are ready to be picked. So these are Bermuda onions. They get about 2 inches wide. They're very tasty. I love them. And I'm eager to get some new ones into the ground soon. So that's that. And lastly, the other banana plants, and they're doing pretty well. That one back there has completely rebounded. That one's trying, and that one's trying as well. And then over here are the next round of tomato plants. So some of them are small. These are mostly the small ones here. So the Napoli, the Glacier, another round of Inca Jewels, Katana. I don't know what that says there. Oh, Principe Borghese. This is a drying tomato. And the Red Pride and Better Boy. And then these here are regular sized tomatoes. So we'll see what comes of these. This is delicious Pantano Romanesco. This one is the Abe Lincoln Blush, which is a cherry tomato. Stupus, which is a common tomato everyone else grows, but I've never grown it before. The Black Sea Man and Pandorino, Rutgers. This one's Paul Robeson, and the Queen of Hearts. And then these are some other spices that are waiting to go into the ground. These are sage. These are the new onion plants. So once these are up and strong, I'll choose the strongest ones and go ahead and transplant those into the yard. This is another rosemary. This is some oregano. a basil. This is a hyssop. Oh, needs water. And that's it for my yard. So everything's looking really good in April. And we'll do another tour at the end of May.